Very good afternoon to you and good evening to people in India. I am Samrat, founder and CEO of NovaVente, the home of technology sales. Welcome to this webinar on automation in sales. And we are going to talk about B2b sales automation, perhaps an area that has been the most discussed in the past few days, especially because of the big daddy in the room, Chat GPT. Okay. So the thing is, what we are going to do is we are going to touch upon certain aspects of automation from a sales point of view in the B2B scenario and getting into certain do's, don'ts, what is right, what is wrong from our perspective. In terms of what is right, what is wrong, it's obviously open to debate because things are still evolving as far as automation is concerned. So please take whatever I say with this thing because it's not always correct or something because there is no right or wrong over here. But we'll stick to B2B selling from the enterprise as well as SaaS perspective. Okay. Two questions I would like to ask. And yeah, we're not doing this interactive for now. We will make it interactive post the 30 minutes. When is the last time you used automation? The answer to that is very simple. Probably today or probably yesterday or maybe in the last hour. So automation is not something that's happening now or will happen in the future. It's been there with us for a long time. It's been there. We have been using it. If you have been using a CRM, you have been using an automation. Now the question comes, when is the first time you used automation? Well, simple email automation tools have been existing for quite some time, more than a decade. So automation has been there even at that point in time. The question is not about whether you should use automation, shouldn't use automation. It is always about how effectively you use automation. And that is the main point everywhere. So let's take a very simple example. If you look at email automation also, how many of us have used email automation in the past and haven't used? I mean, it's come of age in the past few years, especially in the past 5-6 years. But before that also it has existed. But there have been issues with it in terms of violation of certain laws, then in terms of the response rates and everything. So effectiveness of that is very important. And that is where how effectively use automation is going to be key rather than anything else. Now, I'm going to touch upon a bit on CRM. I'm not going to spend too much. This webinar is not about CRMs as such, but CRM is something which has been is an automation tool that most salespeople have used. Now, CRMs fall into 3 buckets. Operational part where salespeople are entering data about their customers, contact base, updating the leads, taking the actions and everything. The analytical bit, which is on the reporting side, which is basically used to update the senior management about what kind of revenue numbers we are going to see, what's the kind of profitability, what deal closures and everything. And third is the collaborative part, wherein team members work together to ensure that all the tasks that are needed in the sales cycle are done. Now, if you look at the types of CRMs, the usage, operationally sales people have been using it and regularly use it. When it comes to analytical part and the collaborative part, there has been some apprehensions about using it properly. Most companies do use it. It's not that they don't, but it's been limited usage as compared to how good it has been used on the operational side of things. Now, sales automation is slightly different from other automations of other functions. Let us take something like a finance and accounts automation where invoices are processed automatically by reading OCRs or whatever, then the workflows and everything. Then it's very simple. You have a good speed, you improve the quality because error rates are low and the costs come down, efficiency is there. Problem solved. If you're able to process 500 invoices that you were doing in a month, in 2 weeks, your job is done. But now this is where sales differs. And the point is productivity versus efficiency. Because the output of sales is very simple. It is dollars coming into your company. That's it. Nothing else matters over there. So you don't achieve much by saying that, well, I've sent 5,000 emails in one day as against the target given to me was 1 month. That's not an achievement as such. It's not activity based. Yes, activities help you with the target, but the thing is, it may actually be a bad idea to send all those emails in one go. You never know. So it's productivity versus efficiency issue over there, specifically to sales. And that is where automation in sales differs vastly from automation across other functions. And the other thing, 1+1 is not always 2 in sales, because there is the human aspect of it, which determines whether you are going to close a deal or not close a deal, whether you're going to close it today or few months later. These aspects are obviously automation is not taking care of it, but I may be wrong. We may be wrong. We have the new thing in the room, Chat GPT, which seems to take care of a lot of it, and it's just the beginning. So you never know what all things are going to come. So when it comes to sales automation, we are just at the tip of the iceberg. There's a vast ocean out there waiting for us to leverage. Now, automation is something that we fear. Sometimes we fear, we leverage it, but we can't really ignore it, because that is what has taken and improved our jobs, brought in more efficiency and productivity. It is just that you need to know what is out there to be used, what cannot be used. And we'll get into it slightly in a few minutes. Now, a lot has changed when it comes to B2B selling in the past few years. First and foremost, people are shopping online. When I say online, obviously, I'm not talking about B2C shopping on Amazon and all. I'm talking about CXOs. CXOs are looking for solutions online. They are reviewing products online. They are reading about products and ideas in various thought leadership forums. So your awareness stage has become extremely important. Now, we know in sales, the earlier you get into the buyer cycle, which is the awareness stage, your chances of closing a deal are much higher. So that has a lot of implication on using automation from the marketing point of view to be there, making sure the salespeople are able to enter at that stage. Third point, people are able to try out things due to this whole thing on SaaS. People can try different products for a 15-day, 20-day trial, and they can easily exit from there. And of course, so much information is out there. Thought leadership, what people speak about you is so important. So all these things has made something, evolution of RevOps as a subject, which is revenue operations, which is the integration of your sales, marketing, and customer service. So it is not enough for the marketing team to just generate those leads. It is not enough for the salespeople to go and close those leads. The customer service needs to give that customer excellence and satisfaction so that the sales is able to continue to get that LTV, the long-term value from each customer that they can get. So the concept of RevOps has come in and has a tremendous implication on the automation part. Whether to automate, not to automate, which function to automate, depends on 4 major factors, in my opinion. One is the sales cycle, whether you're selling to enterprises or you're selling to small companies. Your sales cycle is going to differ. Based on that, you can take a call on how much you can automate and where you can automate. Involvement of the key decision makers and the stakeholders. Is it a high involvement purchase? Obviously, if a Fortune 50 company is looking to revamp its complete IT stack, and let's say looking at an ERP and all, it's an extremely high involvement thing. Now, we need to be cautious of to how much of that would you want to automate. Would the decision makers be happy looking at a demo that's coming on over there with some bots? Obviously not. Multiple decision makers, because your messaging with multiple decision makers is going to change. It is not going to be one messaging which happens in a single decision making kind of a situation. And the uniformity of the buying process. The more uniform the buying process, the more ability you have to automate it, because you can map the sales process onto the customer's buying process. Moving on, this question gets asked, what parts of the sales cycle can I automate? We need to flip this question around and just say, in what parts of the buying cycle can the customer accept automation? And there is a huge difference. This is thinking from buying perspective. So will the customer be okay to have automation in that part of the buying cycle. And that is where the crux of the matter is in terms of what you should, what you can, and how you should automate. This is the standard cycle in a customer situation. Top of the funnel where there is awareness and problem recognition. That is, you have a lot of people who are aware. You need to enter at that time. Typically, it is the marketing function that enables that. So interest and information search. So using automation to making sure you are getting into that awareness cycle of the customer is where automation plays an important role. And these are activities which are having a high amount of possibility to automate, although there are risks, and we'll come to that as well. The next phase is where actually the salespeople take over. The consideration and evaluation. During the consideration and evaluation stages, when it comes to enterprise deals, automation possibilities are limited over there because you're having personal discussions with different stakeholders. Even multiple discussions where your positioning would be very different. What you're going to position for somebody who's looking at an ROI versus somebody as a user who's looking more at the features point of view. That's going to change drastically. And of course, when there is intent and commitment, that stage, possibility to automate, you wouldn't really want to automate over that unless you are into a B2b SaaS product, which is something that can be bought using a credit card. As simple as that. Post that, when the service takes over, that is where, in terms of making sure that your customer feedback is coming on regularly and the loop is being filled in to ensure that the product development is happening well. So these are parts where automation can be used in a different levels, at different levels with different risks and different kind of approaches. Now, why I'm saying this, we are talking, topic might be about sales automation, but due to this RevOps concept that is coming, marketing, sales, and customer service all are coming together to ensure the long-term revenue that you are making is high. Let's face one thing. You cannot clone salespeople. 1 + 1 is not 2. Everybody's sales approach is very different. What's true for you might not be true for the other. The points that you have, the levers that you use to close a particular sale is going to be different. Of course, this has a lot of implication on automation because automation amounts to uniformity in the cycle. But we will discuss that later in terms of certain tools where uniformity doesn't matter. It is something for one customer, the way the customer wants. Of course, very easy. The data, normal data tasks, analytics, content creation, these are things which are high intent. The ability to automate is very high. When it comes to relationships building and nurturing long-term, that is where the ability to automate is slightly limited. Although nurturing long-term is extremely good in the awareness stage because you're catching customers at the awareness stage. You need to nurture them and you can really automate a lot of things over there by disseminating regular information through newsletters, for example. Now, let us take a typical B2B cycle. The first thing, you start making data. This is assuming the segmentation, targeting, and positioning, which typically you would say the marketing part of it is done. In data scraping, it's basically the candidature to automate, as in is very high. Most people are using, many of us are using it, but we may not even know, but these are automation tools, which output of which we are using directly. Lots of options available. Adoption is very high. It can be customized the way you want in terms of the kind of targeting and the segmentation you want to do with the industry sizes and everything. Cost saved, I put a red flag there because frankly, the good tools are not cheap. They come at a cost. So tools like Lusha, Rocket Reach, Slintel, Zoom Info, it's missing, but that's one of the leading tools in the market. They're extremely good from that point of view, but they are costly. There are a couple of more red flags. One, they are not error-free. There are risks involved, especially related to following the local laws. Let's understand something here. These tools are scraping data automatically through the internet. And of course, they have a team that validates it over a period of time. The ones I have mentioned on the right, extreme right, the Owler, Gate Prospect, and Simlace app provide a lot more information on the prospects than the other tools. So take it from me, in terms of whatever I'm telling, but it's up to you to validate it because it depends what you're looking at. So data scraping, yes, go for it. Absolutely. And most of us are even doing that. Normally, data scraping using tools plus a combination of manual effort to validate certain things is the best way possible. So I don't think we have reached a stage where it's completely automated as of now. Email content writing. When it comes to email content, the subject line generator is something as a tool where you would want to make sure that the content of your subject line is important and you're getting maximum open rates. Your open rates depend completely on the subject line that is written. So using such tools which can determine what kind of subject line you should use, very helpful. Of course, there is a big daddy in the room, ChatGPT, which is there, but that's relatively new and it's still evolving, but it's taken it to a different level altogether. Briskin templates that uses you to respond automatically to certain questions, maybe about pricing or certain features or anything. You can automatically respond through your mailboxes and integrate with other, your CRMs and all. Outplay helps you with a lot of content writing based on your customer, based on your profile you're targeting. It can recommend to you what kind of content you need to write. Crystal is an interesting tool. I'll touch upon it later in the coming slides. It basically gives you personality of the prospect. Now you will know, all this thing about data privacy and all total nonsense because there isn't. You can actually find the personality of a particular prospect using LinkedIn profiles based on certain social media activity of that person. Now, why is that helpful for email content? Because a tool like Crystal tells you what is it that you can write in the email based on the personality profile. If the personality profile, for example, is a person is very direct with his answers, then it's going to say, be direct, come to the point, something like that. Those are the kind of things which email content automation tools can really help. Now, let's look at the pluses and minuses. Candidature to automate, definitely extremely high. Adoption is high, people who are using it. But time save is on the high side. The problem is options available are not great in the market, but it's only going to improve with tools like ChatGPT coming on. And can you customize it? The problem is you cannot customize it so much that, for individually you can't do that. For example, in Crystal, you can do it for an individual person, but you can't automate the whole process of that. It's still not there. So definitely certain red flags over there. Error prone, yes, because if you're sending mass emails, you can segment it. You can take particular, say, the banking segment, you can divide into 4 different segments and say, I want to write to the ones which are below this employee strength or whatever, based on that. But beyond that, it's slightly tricky. So personally, our verdict would be yes and no. It depends really whom you're targeting. If you're targeting a wider range of market, the SME segment or even the smaller segment, yes, definitely you need automation over there. If you're targeting enterprises where you hope to close a few but really large deals, you don't need it and you should avoid it. Well, you can use certain tools like Crystal and all where you can actually get some kind of personality info. That's more on the account-based marketing. Lavender is a very good tool from an emailing perspective. Gives you good ideas on how to write the emails over there. Okay. ChatGPT, we have tried, everybody has tried. The thing over there is the way you write the prompts. And the whole thing that's going to make a difference is salespeople who can write good prompts and salespeople who cannot write good prompts. Tools are there for everybody to use. How best we can use is the question. Email verification, absolutely. If you see, everything is a positive, right from the adoption, the time saved, cost saved, you should use. Why you should use email verification is because if your emails are bouncing, your spam score is going to get affected. If you're sending mails to invalid email IDs, your spam score is going to get affected. So use tools like Zero Bounce, Verifailure, where you can find invalid emails. Quick email verification. Most of these tools that I'm mentioning, they have a significant, very good free tier as well. Mail Tester to ensure what is the spam score of your email. For example, if you have too many links, your spam score is going to be high. High is in a negative way. If you're having too many words like discounts and sign up and everything like that, there are spam words which are available. You can get those words are going to give you a very bad spam score. A tool like ClockOps is quite comprehensive in terms of helps with content, helps with the reputation of the sending domain. So if you're sending an email from @xyz.com, which is your XYZ user company, it will tell you the reputation of that domain. And if it is not, then you need to look at different domains from where you can say. And it also gives inbox rates for different domains. So how much was the inbox receivable rate from a Gmail point of view versus Outlook point of view? Email verification, absolutely go for it. Don't even think over it. It's a must-have tool these days. Now, you've done the email content, you have validated the email, now you send out the emails. Now, this is somewhere, candidature of automation is extremely high. We've been using it for decades now. Adoption is high, time saved is high, options available, too many options. I can't even mention a lot of them. Customization is a problem because if you're automating it, you're going to have limited customization, obviously. The best you can do is segment it into different segments and custom it accordingly. Cost saved on the high side, error prone, one error, your whole email sequencing is gone. The whole mass mailing that you're doing is going to go wrong. Risks, the legal risks. Legal risks associated with the data privacy, GDPR and all of that. Verdict is very simple. If it is SME, do it. Enterprises, completely avoid. Because how many enterprises are going to target? Maybe in a year, maybe 100, 200, that's it. You don't need those tools if it is not. Yesware is a very simple email management tool. Then there is Pipedrive, which is very simple, again, almost like an Excel kind of an interface. Use it, so sending emails and sequences and get the email tracking as well. If you're doing purely email tracking, things like mail alerts, super inbox are good. Doxify from a point of view of tracking who has opened the attachment, what has been activity on that. But trust me, you wouldn't want to send attachments if you're doing cold approach. Then Outplay and MailChimp have been there for quite some time. MailChimp has been, I see a lot of people using that tool. So I guess most of us are aware of that properly. Now come to ClockOps. Glock Apps is a very, very good tool, comprehensive tool in terms of email content, then sending emails, tracking post emails and everything. I would recommend you have a look at that tool, frankly. But again, the golden rule, if you're targeting a few enterprises, avoid it. If you're targeting a wider market, fine. When it comes to enterprises, very good at the awareness stage, that is disseminating information about the company and everything, the knowledge and all, so that you're building thought leadership. But the big daddy in the room, the risks, the legal risks, especially if you're targeting European markets. Be careful about that. Next, LinkedIn automation. Perhaps the maximum automation has happened in this. I keep getting approached by everybody almost every other week on this automation tools. What does it do basically? Many people are not aware of it, but it does basically a few things. Sends automatic requests, connection requests to your target audience. If once they accept connections, it sends them messages in a particular sequence to get you that output. Then it also does things like visiting their profile, liking their posts or something like that. And what do you, all those things that you do to just keep in there, so it warms up the prospects over LinkedIn before you send out that message. And you can customize it in terms of how many nudges you want to give, when do you really want to send a sales message, or you want to just do an hello, what time. So lots of tools are available. Candidature to automation, I would say not many are doing it. People are doing it that way, but frankly, I see some concerns over there. Adoption is very easy in terms of using it. It's a very simple, available tool. Free trials are available for from a couple of weeks to a month. Time spent, yes, it does save a lot of time. Options available a lot. You cannot customize it. You can customize it to some extent, but there's a limit to it. The tool vendors will disagree, but I'm telling you, I've looked at those tools. There is a serious limitation of how much you want to customize or how much you want to really customize. Do you really want to make it that, do kind of a mass kind of an activity over there. Cost saved is not very high because I see that the pricing available there is not as much as what you will save by putting people doing it. Error prone is there, risks are there because LinkedIn themselves can ban you if they see that you're using bots. Okay, so some of the tools that are available, Duck Soup is quite a big one which has been there. Galaxy, I think, is also one of the top ones. Data Analyze is slightly different. It basically what it does is you click, it's like an extension. You go to a LinkedIn for a particular profile, it will give some more information based on the LinkedIn profile that you can quickly visualize. And based on that, you can do things. Now, the question is how much time it's saving. I don't know. Prospect.io and Reply are quite comprehensive from that matter. So you can look at it as well from that point of view. But I would say LinkedIn automation tools, there are many in the market. You can try it out a few months. The risks involved are that LinkedIn will ban you if they get to know that you're doing bots. It puts you in something called as a LinkedIn jail, which means for a few weeks or a few days, whatever, your profile is inactive. I mean, your profile you can't use. You can't send any connection requests and everything. So be careful with what you're using here. Next, and very interesting, content, buyer intent. Now, buyer intent is extremely important. What happens, it's not being used so much. Adoption can be high because it's very easy to use. Now, the thing is, buyer intent basically tells you how much of that person is ready to buy or is really looking out. And how do they do it? Simple. Looking at lead feeders and all and happier leads. Basically, they track your companies from whom you are getting traffic on your websites. But that's not really, I'm not saying that's like something which is really big differentiator. If you go to certain things like the companies that do which is called a third level of buying intent. The first level is people coming to your website with interest of filling up forms and all, that's easy. Second is, people going to competition websites and all. And third is people who are consuming information about it. Like, for example, if a company is looking to buy an ERP, you will see a lot of people in that company, especially in the CIO team, looking at various ERPs in the market and all and visiting information. Now, that is the difference. And some tools like Slintel are doing that, where they are able to track. This is called a third level of consumer buyer measuring the buyer intent. They are able to do it from that point of view. Okay. Here again, I would say risks and all error prone. It's not there so much because finally you're not interacting with the customer directly automatically. That is still with the salesperson. That control is with the salesperson. It is just a feed to the salesperson in terms of how to interact, what to interact, unless you're using chatbots over there, which is a totally different thing. Okay, options available are limited, why I put it, because it's still an evolving area. SEMrush is one which helps you track people who are visiting competition. This applies across B2B as well as B2C. So I would say always go for this. Extremely good, and try it out. Very good to start with. Conversational intelligence, a favorite topic. What is this? Basically, it is about getting intelligent information from the conversations, either through chatbots or through meeting recordings or through phone call recordings. So that is very good because it guides you through the sales process. Good because the risks are low here, because it is again not directly interacting with the customer, it is giving inputs to the sales team. It's been used extremely well for sales coaching in terms of tracking the calls. A meeting happens, you have the recording. Based on that, it will also give a judgment about how likely this is going to be a deal in the next quarter or so. Or it was just a waste of time, or it's just something their awareness stage. It will guide you through the sales engagement platform as such. Okay. Options available are many over there. You can customize it. ChatSpot, which is something that HubSpot has recently launched, which is something like works on top of ChatGPT, is basically it is ChatGPT customized to your own CRM. So what they've done is they've taken ChatGPT prompts, they used it as a backend, and based on your HubSpot customers and your prospects and their profiles and their background, it will suggest you some kind of messages that you can send. Avoma is more from a point of view of meetings, analyzing your meetings. It takes notes automatically and all. And after that, you have Chorus.ai, Gong, SalesCane, these have been there quite some time, quite enhanced tools. Crystal, as I said, it's more of guiding you through judging the behavior or a personality of your prospect and giving you some inputs as to what messaging should come. So I see a lot of things happening in this space, especially after ChatGPT has come. So ChatGPT is going to the back end for many CRMs who are going to use it to come out with their own things on conversational intelligence. Now, sales engagement, this is the last slide. We are just over time. So I'm just going to be a quick one. Sales engagement is predominantly engaging with automation through the entire journey of the sales cycle, right from the awareness stage to the consideration stage to evaluation and closure stage. So there are a few tools who help you through the journey. Top of that, Revenue.io and HubSpot are there. Zoho, Zendesk, and Outreach do it to a lot extent. Now here, candidature to automate is not high because it's a massive initiative to be launched across the organization. It changes the way. So the more there is a change that the team has to do, more there is going to be a challenge with, as a candidature over there. But if you are going to adopt it, it's really good. Not very error prone. You can really customize as per your sales process or something the way you want to. So pretty much a go ahead from a sales engagement point of view. With this, we are coming to the end of this webinar. Thank you for joining. Any questions? I will just enable Q&A. There is a question, when should I start implementing a marketing automation platform? I would say today. Why not? But definitely the thing is, the tools that we have mentioned are so off the shelf available that you should be able to implement them very soon. And they are not really asking for long-term investments into it. So you should really be able to implement it very soon as possible. So there is no tomorrow. You have to just do it today. Any more questions? Can I automate the complete lead nurturing? Absolutely, you can. The question is how much you want to. As I said, if you're looking at the enterprise sector, you may not want to automate it because enterprise selling at a large level, suppose you're targeting Fortune 50 companies, how many prospects are going to do, right? So that lead nurturing and all is not something that you should automate because it should be the human cognitive. What you can do is you can use tools which are helping with your intelligence in terms of, some tools that we saw over there, like, Crystal tells you how to nurture that particular lead from an ABM perspective. So you should nurture those leads. Some amount of automation is there, but there is no right or wrong answers. If you're doing SME sector and all, definitely you need to, because you will go crazy doing it manually. Simple as that. Does using data scraping tool violate GDPR compliance? Well, very good question. It does. To some extent, it does. So important thing is make sure that your GDPR compliance is basically being taken care of by the tool that you're using. For example, if you're using a tool like Lucia or a ZoomInfo, they basically claim that, it's all GDPR compliant data, which means if somebody raises a red flag, it is onto them to make sure that it is GDPR. So you can basically stay clear of all issues over there. The only thing I would say is that be updated about the data that's there, because there is a tendency that you download data from the sites and you use it over the next 10 months or something. And it's people do tell these tools to withdraw their names and all, in which case you could be on the wrong foot. So like, for example, all these tools will continuously send you a mail saying that these people are opted out. So it does violate. But data scraping as such is not. But if you're not using it properly, it does. Next question, how is marketing automation tool different from a CRM? Well, CRM is a comprehensive tool. It's used by the sales as well as the marketing department. Marketing automation is just a part of it. So when it comes to nurturing the leads, creating the awareness, that is when marketing plays an important role. And that is where your CRM is going to be helpful. So it's not nothing different. Marketing automation is part of CRM. It only depends on the level because all these tools are all CRM tools. They are doing some people, some CRMs only doing the email automation part. Some CRMs like HubSpot and Pipedrive and all, but they are doing the entire CRM part of it, right? So it all depends on how much of it is there, right? Any more questions? I think we'll come to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much for your participation. For any questions, do contact us, NovaVente, the home of technology sales. We are on Insta, we are on LinkedIn, and we are always available to help you with any kind of things you would have on the sales or the marketing side. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.